Hey guys, it is Jacob here, and in this video I bring you a build guide / build overview of my Thea Autobomber. Let's get into it, after you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, of course. The build aims to fully automate pretty much everything that can be automated in some way. The damage gets scaled a lot through different element types inflicted on enemies. And all in all, the build has enough damage to deal with all the content in the game currently, and with its 80% all res, 75% erosion resistance, together with the ring I will show you later, a ton of physical damage mitigation on the gear, again, show you later, around 50% evasion, with some passive skills I will show you later, 25% attack block, 43% chance to block spell damage, is tanky enough to survive on Uber Keygun, which you can check in the video I posted a few days earlier. Okay, let's go over the gear first. My current gear, what I have on me right now, cost me around 5k FE, which for some is a lot. I was saving up for it for a long time, but the build has enough damage for T8 mapping even on around 1.5k FE budget, so that should be affordable for most of the people there. The core item of the build is this, the Exquisite box. The Exquisite box goes around 1k FE on marketplace these days, so aim for this item first. I was expin the build with what was it, Thundercloud, so that was a great build, you can find it on YouTube somewhere, great leveling build, and I was saving up for this and bought this first. The last two corrupted mods are the best. If you want to invest like, I don't know, maybe 5k FE just for the amulet, go for these two mods. For lower budget, let's check the weapons now. I use double jumbled eyes. That's the high budget version, which deals insane damage. Like really insane damage. Okay. But if you want to go cheap, you don't have the budget for jumble ices yet, I would suggest you to use double oversights with +3 spell skill level corrupt. That would look like this. Those go for around 50 FE each, and you still get to 1 million DPS, so yeah. Double oversights, if you can't afford those, just get whatever you find and you will still get to high enough damage to clear tier 7 maps just okay. After those, you are focusing to stack as many focus blessings as possible for the cheaper prices. So max focus blessings everywhere to get to 12 or more. You will get to around 8 for cheap, so that's the good start. After you get to 12, or after I got to 12, I'm aiming for agility blessings to get them to 6, so I have +1 on my gloves. 12 focus blessings give you around 48% chance to deal double damage, and together with 5 fixate stacks puts you to almost 86% chance to deal double damage, and you get 5 fixate stacks on bosses all the time, so that's there, 86% chance to deal double damage. And with Thea hero trait, you get 96% chance to deal quadruple damage instead of double damage, so bear that in mind. And if you are going without jumble ices, you might find yourself struggling with generating focus blessings. If that's the case, you can swap the boots for Grace Boots, which gives you 10% chance for non-critical strikes to grant 1 stack of focus blessings. So get those on a really low budget. if you have a bit higher budget, then you can get chaotic rings with chance to get focus blessing on critical strike, and you need a bit higher critical strike chance for that also, so you might even need two rings and the boots if you have a lot of focus blessing to be able to keep them up all the time. The other important stats on those rings are max focus blessings, obviously, this one, and on one of them you need the erosion resistance while barrier is active. Barrier is active 100% of the time on this build, so you get 35% erosion resistance from the ring, which gets you to the cap. On the Infinity belt is this one. I bought this one for 50 FE a long time ago, and you are aiming for max focus blessing, some useful passive. The best passive that you can get here is focused strike, which gives you additional damage for AoE skills if they hit on the center, and our damage skills hit at the center 100% of the time. And the first stat I aimed for was 1 resistance to free up a slot on one of my gears. For the gloves, Touch of the Dark Surge, just aim for spell critical strike rating and spell damage. They can roll negative values if they are not corrupted. That's minus 90 to 90 spell critical strike rating and minus 100 to 100 spell damage. So try to get positive values plus some blessing. I got agility blessing here. I had one earlier where I had focus blessings, so just get a blessing there. Focus blessing is the best for the lower budget version. For the rare pieces, get evasion bases, all of them, to get your another defensive layer through evasion. Feel free to go with tier 2 or even tier 3 mods at first if you don't have much currency yet, and don't use the ominous or restless mods until you get enough currency to afford to craft the items. So for the helmet it's max life, max percent life, and some sort of physical damage reduction. The flat physical damage reduction is better. This one, additional physical damage taken, that's better than the convert. But it is a sort of physical damage reduction, and physical damage reduction is what the build lacks, so you need to get it on the items here. And then resistances, erosion resistance on every single rare piece. And then on the helmet I've gone for critical strike damage and cooldown recovery from restless mod, I believe it is. The helmet is plus 24% evasion, armor, chance to avoid damage, evasion, max life, physical damage taken, and I have ominous mod here, plus 2 active skill level. If you can't afford this, just craft the percent life as I have on the helmet. I have other armor here which is basically the same but has explode mod. That's really nice on tier 8 mapping until you have really crazy amounts of damage and just clear everything in one shot. This helps with tier 8 clear a lot. Then it is triple resistances, just erosion, always erosion, and put in the 2 other resistances that you don't have on your belt or on the helmet. So you will craft 3 types of elemental resistances like fire, lightning and gold. One will be on the belt or the helmet, and the other 2 has to be on the armor to get you capped. For the boots, it is the evasion base with max mobility skill charges. This is really great because you can just blink like this. When you have just one charge, it's not possible. For the mods, it is max life, physical damage reduction, percent life, erosion resistance again, and then on the budget, just craft movement speed. I'm crafting Ristless Embers here, and I'm going for cooldown recovery speed, and the last mod that I don't have yet is some sort of movement speed and additional agility blessings. For the talent tree, I started with Goddess of Knowledge, and the passive tree looks like this. I'm not going to put any links to the description of the video, so just take it from here. Cold damage or spell damage. Cold damage might be better after you get the Jumble Ices, because they give you cold damage to spells, and I'm not sure if this scales with the spell damage from the passive tree. So cold damage here, max life, critical strike rating, spell block chance, take both, that's the additional spell block chance we get. If you don't need critical strike rating later on, once you get enough focus blessings, like 18 maybe, you won't need these nodes anymore, and you can get skill radius instead. That helps with clear. Then we have another cold damage here. Cold damage, spell skill level, scales your damage a lot. Max focus blessing, that speaks for itself. And sealed mana, so we can afford to reserve our mana. So beacon or chili, either of them is fine. And burning touch here, additional cold damage, is much stronger than the plus spell damage that you get from inside if you deal cold or fire damage. The next one is Spiritcaller. I go for adaptation here. So this gives you like insane amount of physical damage reduction, and it also gives you plus 4% maximum elemental resistances, which helps me to get to the 80% base. If you want to go for more damage instead of the defenses, just take translucent, which gives you 20% additional cold damage, basically. Elemental damage, attack speed and cast speed because of Warlock that I will show you later. Critical strike rating, again, if you don't need critical strike rating, just take damage here or some other useful thing. Skill radius, life regain. Also, if you don't have the skill points, just don't take this. Elemental resistances helps me cap my resistances, obviously, and then this +1 to cold skills. That's 36 points here, so basically everything here is mandatory, but you can put the points somewhere else if you struggle with mana and you are not using cost conversion on your channel skill, you can use this and this talent to reduce the mana cost of your channel skill instead of skill radius. And there are other options as well. If you struggle with blessing generation, you can take these 4 nodes for tenacity and agility blessings generation. That might help you as well. Okay, the last one is Warlock. In the Warlock tree, I take Merciless, which allows you to scale your attack speed and cast speed into your cooldown recovery, which reduces the trigger time of the amulet, so it increases your damage a lot. And the other one is Dirty Tricks, which scales our on-hit damage through the number of different elements on the enemy. So that's 7% per ailment, and we inflict 5 ailments. So just damage, attack and cast speed, critical strike rating. Mana seal here, it's important. Some max life and regain. If you don't have the points, just don't take that. Empower skill effect. Don't take this if you don't have the skill points. Some damage here, not necessary later on. Cooldown recovery helps a lot with damage. And then the top, just +1 to all skills, is insane. And this one gives you 20% damage on hit per type of element, which is 5, so this is like 60% damage from this. Okay, that's Warlock. That's it for the passive tree. For the hero traits, I use them like this. This is more damage for lower budget. I'm not going to explain them. That's the content for like a whole another video. But once you get 2 times Jumble Eyes and you swap your gear to get as many agility and tenacity blessings instead of focus blessings like I have, you can switch to this setup where you generate blessings through this, and then you convert your maximum agility and tenacity blessings into focus blessings through this, and through that you get to, like, let's say 16 or 18 focus blessings, which scales the Jumble Eyes damage to insane levels. But I would not recommend doing this until you are able to get to at least 16 focus blessings and 8 agility and tenacity blessings. So you would need +4 agility and +4 tenacity blessings for the 16, 8 and 8. If you go that way, just keep in mind that you need to balance your blessings so you have at least double the focus blessings than the other two. So 16, 8 and 8, or 17, 8 and 8, or 18, 9 and 9, to make the build as effective and efficient as possible. Because every point of other blessings then that is higher than, like, if you get 18 focus blessings and you get 10 or 11 agility blessings, you won't be able to generate the agility blessings over 9, because this talent only gives you half of your focus blessing consumed back as your agility and tenacity blessings, so you would not be able to generate the 2 extra agility blessings to cap them, and that stat would be then wasted on your items basically. So just get double the focus blessings, then you have agility and tenacity blessings, and you will be insane. Okay, we got here. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. For the skills, let's get to them now. You need to put them in the right order for the build to function properly. The first slot is our channel skill, which I use Path of Flames because it increases your movement speed while channeling, and then you link it to guard to generate our barrier. It generates it passively while you channel, and you get the channel stacks to max, you get barrier automatically. Then emergency avoidance, that's plus 40% evasion because it has 4 stacks, so that's 40% evasion from this. And cost conversion, just to be able to seal as much mana as possible. The second slot is either movement skill or empower skill. The movement skill, for me, I use Blink because it has the lowest cooldown of them all and also moves the furthest on cast. Cooldown reduction and cost conversion are choices here just because you want to reserve mana and you want to have as low cooldown on this as possible. If you are willing to go without Blink, you can craft another pair of boots without the movement skill charge, and you can put Mana Ball here, support it with Mania and Bloodbath, like this. And if you can get the third point and are willing to, like, get more life regen and mana regen, you can even support it with Death Will as the third support to increase the effect even further. With that, you can swap the mana ball from your cast while channeling setup that I show you later, and you can use like Biting Cold Curse or Soul Eating Circle if you want to. We are getting to the third skill, and now is where all the exquisite box amulet magic happens. The third slot is your healing skill. The healing skill of choice here is Compound Potion because it has cooldown. It is not based on charges, so you don't need to kill monsters to recharge it. This skill is automatically triggered when you get hit by monsters. You support it with residues, so it stays up even when you get on full life. Berserk for Belgrade, and Armor Infusion for more defense, or Emergency Restoration for a burst heal if you get to low life. I use the Armor Infusion to get even more defense. The fourth skill is our support damage skill and trigger skill actually, that triggers our damage skill. This slot here is triggered by your amulet again, and it is triggered by the damage you take from damage over time sources. So this gets triggered by our Bloodthirst, and the Blizzard skill of choice here is because it shoots 3 waves per cast, so it deals the damage 3 times per cast, and that is really important once you are able to afford the Exquisite Box Corruption that has the 0.2 seconds cooldown on the 5th skill slot, and it gets triggered even off screen, which is insane for clear speed. Okay, Blizzard reduces the monster resistances by 15%, cold resistances. You support it by added fire damage, so you can inflict ignite. Then you support it by erosion damage, so you can inflict wilt. And the last link here is mark, to mark enemies even if you are not channeling, to use your fixate. Mark support here is to generate the mark debuff passively. The 5th slot is our main damage skill. It is Ring of Ice, as you can see, and this gets triggered simply by dealing damage. Any damage counts, like... Okay, and as you can see, it gets triggered by the Flame Path, or how is it called? Path of Flames. It gets triggered by the Thea passive skill, which gets triggered every time you deal double damage. It gets triggered by Bleed. It gets triggered by Ignite. That's why it goes off that often. You might ask why you want the Bloodthirst then. Because you need the Bloodthirst to trigger your Blizzard, so you are able to trigger the Ring of Ice off screen. Like, it gives you insane clear. And you support this skill by Element Termination. That's the most important support here. The supported skill deals 13% additional damage per type of element, which together with the Warlock Dirty Tricks talent is 20% additional damage per element, and we inflict 5 different elements: Bleed, Shock, Frostbitten, Ignite, and Wilt. So that is basically 100% additional damage just from this support and the Warlock passive. The rest here is like what I think is the best, but feel free to test it and swap them around. Like, you can swap Freeze Chance for Concentration effect instead. This one should give like plus 4% damage, but reduces the skill radius by 30%, which is a lot. So yeah, that might be an option. Overload is really nice because it scales with your focus blessings. Once you get to 8, around 50% more damage, additional damage. That's like, Overload is insane. And critical strike damage just speaks for itself. And now let's take a look at our support skills. For the first slot, we are going for Summon Thunder Spirit. This is our buff wheel. Summon Thunder Spirit is really important. It provides you with 56% attack speed and cast speed. Or provides me with 56. You can scale it even higher, like 20, 23, 24 levels. That this might go up. So that's over 112% attack and cast speed, which then gets scaled into cooldown reduction through Warlock passive, and then it triggers the Ice Ring so fast. Next is Elemental Resistance Precise, which gives you elemental resistances obviously, but it also gives you plus 1% maximum resistance. That's like, that gets you from 79 to 80. That's the most important part here. The third one is Precise Acuteness Imbue. This might seem odd on a spell damage build, but it allows your spells to inflict bleed, which is like additional element, which increases your damage by additional 20%, and that's insane, right? The last aura here is Elemental Amp. That's additional elemental damage and elemental penetration. Support all of them by restrain to reduce the sealed mana, and we are getting to the second slot, which is our cast while channeling. So you can like trigger all these passively just by holding the Path of Flames. Bloodthirst, Mana Boil, Fixate. All of them are Empower skills. That is why I use these two passives, which is 25% Empower skill effect. So those are these three. Bloodthirst, Mana Boil, Fixate. You can swap Mana Boil for Soul Eating Circle or Biting Cold. Mana Boils gives you additional spell damage, which is nice, right? Support all of them by Seal Conversion to reserve them on life. That's 514 life reserved from this setup. Will get a bit higher once I level up my Fixate to level 20. If you are not okay with this and you want to like min-max it, you can get Precise Seal Conversion, which basically reduces the seal conversion like a lot. It changes the modifiers on the skill. So yeah, Precise Seal Conversion is the improvement for this setup. And the last support slot is our auto defense setup. The auto defense increases your defense by using the defense skill automatically. I use Reform to refresh my barrier that I generated passively from channeling. That's the only way to refresh your barrier, basically. Only other way to refresh the barrier is to stop channeling after the barrier falls off and start channeling again to put it up again. But this little tiny like window reduces your defenses. It gets rid of your plus 35% erosion resistance from your ring, because that only works while you have barrier on. If you are willing to get into the struggles of the micromanagement of barrier, you can get rid of Reform and use Protection Field, which is probably the best defensive skill there is if you have some minion, which we have the Spirit, and that would make it so some of the damage you take is transferred to the minion, and also the minion taunts nearby monsters, which is awesome on bosses. Then the other two skills here are Rejuvenation and Magical Source, just to get some life regen and mana regen. Level up the magical source up enough to keep your mana ball up, and then the rest of the mana seal, just level the rejuvenation up as much as possible to get more life regen, and support all of that by restrain. So that's it for the build overview. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Okay, now I will show you a quick tier 8 map. Savage Grasslands tier 8 is the largest map that there is. You cannot get any larger. And it's also the map where is the most monsters. So let's put some, I don't know, let's put these three on. And more rare monsters is this one. Yeah, 15 additional rare monsters. So yeah, that. And for tier 8, I get the Explode mod. Channel at the start of the map for a bit to trigger your blizzard, and as you can see, it triggers the blizzard even like on the top right corner, even off screen. And the damage from blizzard then triggers the Ring of Ice, and once something dies, basically everything dies. And you can just blink through the entire map. Like this. The movement speed will get a bit better once I get the Ominous mod on the boots. But you are blinking most of the time anyway, so it does not really matter. You just keep your Path of Flames like pressed, so you refresh your emergency avoidance, and that's it. And if you don't want to use the blink, you will just run one hand and just run through everything. That's it. Let's check the boss now. And that's it. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye!